The Discord call. That shit is the most chaotic one. So.
She's cracked. She's pushing. She's pushing. You're trash. She's on me. She's one.
Oh yeah, like in Japan it's very popular, but like in the West it's But it's like only like the past 5 years, so like it started to get popular.
I finished a decent chunk of it, around 220 chapters, which goes up to the end of an arc.
I actually only watched the anime, so I'm kind of the normie here in like the One Piece fan.
And I think it's enough for me to answer the question: is One Piece worth getting into?
Absolutely, and yes, I'm just gonna tell you, say absolutely.
Really, the beginning parts. As I think for most people, the biggest turnoff of One Piece is
the art style.
Many people calling it boring or dragged
out.
Yeah,
maybe like the beginning, but the only thing that I kind of hate about the beginning is like the art style.
Chapter 75 or the end of Arlong Park in East Blue, which is sort of like the real first arc of One Piece completely.
Yeah, it's like introducing Luffy character and stuff. Alaska was also pretty good.
Pretty much both of them. One Piece begins with Luffy wanting to become the Pirate King and finding 10 crewmates for his ship. This is the basic goal Oda is going
where like he gathered around crewmate and stuff.
Dragon Ball's original goal was to find the 7 Dragon Balls. Naruto's was to become Hokage, and Bleach's
the Pirate King.
More complicated. And Hunter x Hunter's is to find Gon's dad.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter is basically the scenario where like your dad is like gone out for a milk and you just basically trying to be a main protagonist.
More simple. In Dragon Ball, Bulma just wants a boyfriend as an example, but sometimes these secondary characters become massively important to the story and become just
One Piece, like the side character is very important to the plot and also like to the overall structure.
Sasuke's ambitions of him wanting to take out his brother, Kurapika wanting
Itachi.
to get the Phantom Troop, etc. One Piece takes this to the next level, with each character having their
own motivation. Like Zoro become the greatest swordsman, Nami,
world's strongest swordsman,
Nami like navigate all around the world.
Wanting to become a great warrior, and yes, this is actually hard for him to do. Considering
absolutely. I mean, at first I was like very skeptical about us more and more.
Medicines and Sanji wanting to find the mysterious all blue, etc. Whereas in Naruto, really only Sasuke has an ambition that even remotely rivals Naruto's outside of mainly the antagonist. And
because like in Naruto, Sasuke is like only kind of like the main protagonist too. But in One Piece, like all of the crew is essentially their own main protagonist.
Of One Piece characters. Not to say they are all bad or poorly done, just not as nearly as interesting compared to say Ichigo is in his own story. Even Usopp's pretty generic I want to be a great warrior goal is actually something that you root for him to do.
Yeah, you essentially want him like basically like Usopp is kind of like the underdog that you root for.
Intelligent ninja who passed like with perfect grades, who just was too normal or pampered to be strong earlier in the story.
I mean, she was just like weak as hell.
People did goofy things to try and seem tough and get attention, but was never noted as any type of prodigy. So when you see him actually using his raw hard work and his goofy quirks to
and like he used like oh my god, and that scene it made me cry and made me just scream.
That's cool. This may seem like a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's important for
not really. I don't think
what
so.
Oda wants to do with One Piece. He wants everything and pretty much everyone to matter. He doesn't want it to become the Goku, Naruto, or Ichigo show.
Yeah, it's very different though. I actually never seen much of this, but like as he explained more and more, I started to remind me.
Mini arcs when we are introduced to Zoro, Usopp,
especially the character arc.
Only Nami is not really on board fully with the Straw Hats, but she accompanies them.
Only until like after the time skip, or which part was it?
Sanji will feed anybody no matter how terrible they treat him or are. Usopp will overcome all his fears, lies, and do anything to help his friends even though he's extremely weak. And Nami tends to always be true to herself, which is hating pirates and taking from them. So by the time you get to Arlong Park, these mini arcs introducing these characters become a main arc where we finally see all the crew so far come together and see what they can accomplish. So
and mix together. And I forgot this is the arc where like Nami just like kind of complete the beginning.
Finally break and beg Luffy for help with tears and have all the Straw Hats do a rap album pose.
Rap album. Wow,
you start to feel
it still get me right up and down. So
get it. It starts to click. And at a certain point, after all these
it's just like looking back at the character, only like Zoro is kind of like really
childish. You get to the point where you finally say, you know what? I actually like these guys. And for me, that happened around Whiskey Peak, which is around 110 or chapter 110. And there was a moment where the Straw Hats are basically greeted by
For me, I think it's where like Luffy meet Ace for the first time at like the hotel where he fights Smoker or something.
So they can rob them. Luffy passes out because he's Luffy, but other characters like Zoro and Nami don't fall for it. Zoro then takes on 100 bounty hunters by himself.
Yeah, man, it's just absolutely killing it, man.
Wakes up to see what Zoro did and then says, I'm going to kill you, Zoro. Zoro
wow.
Explaining what happened, explaining they're getting robbed, and Luffy just does not have any of it and doesn't believe him. Because people that do that good
damn, bro.
Luffy could just never be bad people for Luffy. Now, normally you just say, oh, this is just a, oh, I'll kill you as sort of like a unserious remark or gag scene.
But he was actually pretty serious,
Luffy actually tries to kill Zoro.
Yeah.
When that happens, that's when I was just like, bro, I just fucking love Luffy.
Yeah. It's like very dedication to his character trait too.
Compare Luffy just going 0 to 100 on Zoro to Goku watching Vegeta nuke a stadium of people and still be unsure if he wants to fight. If that was Luffy, he would have already been beating Vegeta's ass the moment he raised his arm at the crowd. If the crowd were people Luffy liked, of course. Now, Goku being more serious here isn't a bad thing, but you get the idea of how Luffy can be a little bit refreshing. So, chapter 75 or 115, that's when it snapped for you? Yeah, about where it clicked. So with that information, let's actually compare One Piece now to the others. What do the other series accomplish in about 75 or 115 chapters? For Dragon Ball, they're at the beginning of the Red Ribbon Army Saga, or in the Pirate Bay.
Wait, I haven't actually
its original idea of collecting the 7 Dragon Balls quite early, and it's honestly even
haven't really watched this
One Piece for the most part.
Doesn't click with me.
But in Dragon Ball's defense, Dragon Ball is sort of pioneering and creating a whole genre, basically. So I'll sort of give it a pass.
It's very difficult when you like watch it on television and stuff.
Or 22nd Budokai by chapter 115. Naruto by 75 is in the middle of the Chunin exams. And
the Chunin exam. It doesn't click with me at that point.
Naruto, I would honestly say, should be considered by most to be the ultimate battle shonen when it comes to its introduction and beginning. Even the first chapter is the most gripping, with it then leading immediately into Team Kakashi in the Bell Test, the Land of Waves art with Zabu.
Yeah, that actually pretty like click with me when like they show like the team fight and stuff. The Chunin exam, at that part I already enjoy Naruto, so.
Gaara, Neji, Shikamaru, Choji, and even Orochimaru.
But like the Chunin exam, it just make it more extreme because of all the epic fight and stuff. Oh boy.
As well as Game of Bunta and a whole
especially Rock Lee, you know what I'm talking about.
By basically chapter 100. And this almost all happens before Ichigo even enters Soul Society for the first time, and before One Piece
Bleach is kind of
his first main arc as well. But this isn't to say Naruto is more worth it than One Piece, but it makes sense that out of all the big three, it stayed probably with the West the most. It is a lot easier to get into than the rest, and it does it all well.
But One Piece kind of like if you like try to preserve and like dig into it more.
A story that Jump would take, with Jump's editors doing a lot for him to construct his premise and so forth. Then in Kishimoto's own words, his creativity, even for character designs, starts to die out by the time the Sasuke retrieval arc rolls around, even before chapter 200.
Oh,
so
there's a lot of like backseat going on.
His whole creative load early and is hyper ambitious, with this ambition almost being impossible to follow up on later with the story he's trying to make, causing a lot of characters he introduced, like Lee, Neji, and so on, just eventually fade off as he has too many things he wants to do. Oda, on the other hand, has been dreaming of writing One Piece ever since he was
for a long time.
Building his world for
many I have true respect for like his dedication to like his job and work.
Sort of like that dream story every aspiring writer has when they are growing up, but Oda actually brings it to reality. Due to this, One Piece has everything ironed out. The entire world has pretty much been built and thought of.
Character, especially man, I said like the character in like it's very difficult to actually write a good character. Very difficult to have like them 3D dimension that you can look.
Basically becomes fact. Almost every single thing Oda introduces has value and will mean something later. So unlike
there's a lot of foreshadowing going on,
and then becoming a bit disappointed where a lot of them end up. One Piece doesn't really do that, but due to this, One Piece is also slower paced, like a lot slower paced at first, as it establishes all the ground.
True, like people whenever I mention One Piece to anybody, they just say that it's way too long, but I can understand.
Many people may not know this, but these two characters serve a pretty similar purpose, or at least we're supposed to. You have the spurgy, almost annoying
like the
OC
character that look
then
up
be
to
brought
our
next to
main
an
character.
actual child character to then show off their more admirable traits and contrast. Even this, I think One Piece did better, because Luffy, after chapter 1, kind of goes through a mini time skip and changes a bit where the reader doesn't really know him as well, so it's kind of more interesting. But that aside, even Kobe gets more love than Konohamaru by far, and in fact, he almost gets his entire own mini story every single chapter in a single image, so you can actually keep up with what he's doing without him interrupting the story or the pacing. Whereas Konohamaru just sort of randomly appears one day and uses Rasengan on Pain. Bleach, on the other hand, has almost really nothing notable happen in its first 75 chapters at all in comparison. So I'd say if you liked the first 75 or so of Bleach or thought they were really exciting, probably be really easily able to get into One Piece. Not to say One Piece is better than Bleach or whatever, I'm not trying to get into that type of argument, but I'd say out of all those examples, Bleach did the least with its start, with it sort of exploding in quality and entertainment during the Soul Society onward. So in terms of pacing, it's not actually that bad. So why don't people get into it then? I think
maybe the way too long episode
stuff. To be real, all of Death Note ends in 108 chapters. The entire series is done before Naruto finishes even the Chunin exams. The only reason
for manga, 100 chapter is absolutely short, because I usually used to read manga, especially the Chinese one.
Don't try to grandstand Death Note as the pacing overlord and say everything is too slow compared
600
what I think is really
and stuff. But for anime, for anime episodes,
randomizer online and then have it randomize anything from 1 through 500. Then have it randomize anything from 3 to 50.
Interesting.
We'll just be basically randomizing a chapter and a page. So you take the random chapter and page and then open it up for your battle shonen of choice. Of course, if they have 500 chapters. Then you compare it to One Piece. About 8 out of 10 times, One Piece will have loads of writing and dialogue, exposition, compared to the series you chose. And I'm not joking. It is very consistently spammed with word bubbles.
Yeah, that's
hard to tell what's happening sometimes. But I don't think this is necessarily all a bad thing. I think it's supposed to be different. The reason I think it's more so different than bad is because
the art style of the manga carries through. Even though I'm actually not reading manga much, when I first read it, the art pulls through for me.
Hard to tell what's happening, and that's not as defendable as there being a lot of writing and text, which is a bit more. One Piece has a goal many other stories don't have. Example, look at how Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Bleach handle going just locations of importance. Usually they just sort of fly over to the fight, time skip over, or maybe have 1 or 2 instances where the journey is sort of shown. In early Dragon Ball, the journey was shown a lot more, but later on,
that's a lot of just time skip.
It got worse because Goku learned how to just teleport.
Yeah.
In One Piece, every journey to a new location in itself is
take time and stuff. Yeah, and just even
will have consequences. Going to a weird tropical island wearing a tank top will have consequences. You can get sick, attack, lost, hit by the weather, tricked. So many things can happen. And Oda wants to and does show all of it. In fact, the reason they meet one of the crewmates named Chopper is for what I exactly described.
Yeah, but they got sick
on a weird island and has to get a doctor or she will die. The consequences and things that happen to the characters
meet the other character and stuff.
Strangely grounded. And this is weird because the story is so goofy, but almost everything the characters do doesn't feel out of place in the world. Like, the world actually exists around them. There's even a panel where there is smoke coming out of the ocean, and Oda spends an entire page or two explaining that underwater volcanoes exist under the sea and create new islands, and that in thousands of years the oceans will look different.
Very interesting, world building stuff.
His world. Every character has loads of interactions, quirks, and things they want to say, just like people in real life do, almost like a Discord call.
The Discord call, that shit is the most chaotic one.
He's cracked, he's pushing! Which is why One Piece fans, they tend to be strong advocates for the series more so than a lot of people.
Kinda little too much in some cases. But yeah, overall the fan base is actually pretty welcoming instead of other fan bases.
One Piece isn't all good though. It's definitely a slog when I didn't like the characters. You learn more things about the world and ways people work.
And we can also see it in the character design and stuff. it just
Oda
grows.
grows up with One Piece,
Yeah.
and gets better as he gets older with it. And early on, One Piece has a lot of sort of useless exposition or unneeded extra exposition that's not needed even.
But
when
now
you
it's
read
like the
everything today,
exposition
and many
have
of
like
those
foreshadowing for
stories are
them
sort
and
of
stuff.
uncreative in the sense that they're just One Piece recreations of popular stories, like Boy Who Cried Wolf or Oda making 2 Hachiko story arcs in 100 chapters alone. And I'm not joking, he actually does. But it's still creative enough with the characters being people you genuinely are impressed by and root for. All in all,
Basically,
I
it's
think
3D
it is
dimensional
worth it in the
character.
long run,
Even though
for
like
the
there's a
short
lot of
run.
like
It is the
mass
worst of the big
exposition,
three.
if
So
you
I think
build
it
a
does
really
deserve a
amazing
chance.
character
If you
that
like the
like
big
feel
three,
very
then
crowded
that's just
and
my honest
the
opinion. As
audience or
someone
the
who has never been
reader
to
can
One Piece
relate
and
to,
only read it literally this
then yeah, you got an amazing
Anyways,
story.
I
And
know that this may not have seemed like the most in-depth video of all time, but I feel like I should actually read or be caught up with the entire series before doing a full deep dive into the story.
I really
just
should
thought
too,
people
because
might
like
be
I just
interested
skip
in my
after
take on
I just skip
getting
like before they
deeper
get into
later
like the
and how I
Wano
think it
arc,
kind of stacks up.
because
Maybe in
at
the
first I
future,
was
though,
like,
I'll get
after
dive
Wano
into One
arc
Piece.
finish, I
Just
will
let me know what
watch
you
it.
guys think. And while
But
I don't
after
think
it
has
finish,
the worst
I don't know,
75
it's just-
chapters of the big three, I do think by chapter 220 it sort of fell off, but then apparently it gets back better, because by chapter 220 Dragon Ball is in the Saiyan saga, Naruto's done with
I forgot
part
what
one,
is the
Bleach
arc
is
is.
basically at the Arrancar arc. It just got done with the Soul Society, and then One Piece starts to go near the bottom, but then apparently it goes right back up in.
So yeah, click here to watch more my reaction. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.